3 days left of the transfer window, things are getting tense, but could Arsenal have a late surprise? Well, let's get the latest. As Arsenal try to sign Brighton's Moises Caicedo, let's break down a potential blockbuster £70 million move. We'll also get an injury update on Thomas Partey and find out which Arsenal star has agreed a new 4-year contract. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. Into the final stages of the transfer window, what are Arsenal going to produce? We're gonna find out as per, so smash a like if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 150,000 subscribers. But let's get into the breaking Arsenal news. Midfielders are on the Arsenal agenda, especially after our most recent game, where Thomas Partey was taken off at half-time and the Arsenal fans started to panic, especially after Mikel Arteta confirmed that he wasn't comfortable to continue and he will have to have an MRI scan to see what he has. But where exactly is the scan going to be? It's important to point out it's not muscular or knee related, but actually in his ribs. And many Arsenal fans were very worried. Thomas Partey is the glue of his Arsenal team, arguably our most important player because of how much he holds together. But thankfully, as Jack Rosser confirms, Thomas Partey is expected to be fit for the match against Everton. An initial tests have shown there is no serious injury, but it will be further assessed. A moment of relief, but in the second half against Man City, his absence was certainly felt, and it showed Arsenal fans that if any injury was to occur, we could be in serious trouble. And in terms of Albert Sambi Lokonga, he has received a lot of stick after the game, and it was a very key moment during it where Martin Odegaard was visibly very annoyed with Sambi because of his positioning. But I do think there's been a little bit of a slight overreaction, whether it's down to lack of experience or understanding. At 23 years of age, Sambi is not ready to be the anchor of the Arsenal midfield, but he is a player that other teams are looking at. And according to reports in France, Arsenal have rejected an €8 million bid from Monaco to sign Albert Sambi Lokonga. There's no chance that Arsenal let go of Sambi in this window, especially after the injury to Mohamed El Neni. But going into the future, I believe the best move for Sambi Lokonga is for him to get a loan move away, to gain the experience, to gain the understanding, because I still believe there's a lot of potential. But when you're in a title race, you can't make any mistakes, there can't be any slackers. Instead, Arsenal need to sign a midfielder, and they have found their main target, Brighton's Ecuador international Moises Caicedo, and they have made a massive move. It all started off with a Fabrizio Romano exclusive, and it was a big one. The Arsenal had submitted a £60 million bid to sign Moises Caicedo as a new midfielder. Brighton hoped to keep the player, but Arsenal are now pushing, with negotiations entering the key stages for Caicedo's future. This was a surprise, I did not expect it, and it showed Arsenal's level of intent. £60 million up front. These guys are willing to spend big, but it was also an offer that was never going to be accepted. Brighton have an insanely high valuation. Caicedo is a very important part of their team. When you're negotiating with Tony Bloom, the owner of Brighton, this guy is a stern negotiator. But after making the offer and making the intentions clear, it was all over to the player. What was he gonna do? The reports claim that he was ready to hand in a transfer request in order to make a move to a big club this January, but then it became reality as Caicedo took it to social media and he handed in a public transfer request saying, "I'm very proud to be able to bring a record fee for Brighton, which will allow them to reinvest and help the club continue to be successful." Almost a goodbye message, speaking in a tone that a transfer has already been agreed, but also sending out a direct message to the Brighton owner Tony Bloom. He wants to leave in this window, and by going onto social media, it has caused a frenzy. But this is where things get interesting, as Charlie Huffington reports, Caicedo was interested in Chelsea, but was fine waiting until the summer. But Arsenal's bid changed things, and the thought of an immediate title race has given an urgent desire to leave. The prospect of working under Mikel Arteta, the potential of fighting for a Premier League title. Caicedo realises this could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and as he currently earns around £15,000 a week, Arsenal could times that by 5, and this would be a life-changing moment, not only for him but also for his family, and that is why he's taking things into his own hands. As Ben Jacobs confirms, Caicedo's new agents are still active and doing everything in their power to get a January move, but there is a frustration because Brighton are not engaging or providing them with a specific number, and Brighton have told Arsenal directly the player isn't for sale. This is why Caicedo has changed agents, and he has taken it one step further with another massive Fabrizio Romano exclusive, confirming that Caicedo did not turn up to Brighton training and he wants to leave immediately, and he's also set to miss the next Brighton game. And Fabrizio understands that Arsenal are expected to improve their £60 million offer. Arsenal are not stopping, they still want to improve their offer, and I do wonder why. Are the players' agents encouraging Arsenal that a deal is possible, and is that why Arsenal are chasing him? Well, in terms of Brighton, these guys are playing it differently, and they have flipped the script. As David Ornstein reports, it's Brighton that have told Caicedo not to attend training or play against Liverpool, and they have told him to stay away until February the 1st when the transfer window window closes, as they expect him to be a part of the squad for the second half of the season. Brighton are trying to show that these guys have control, that these guys have the power, but it's worth pointing out they have done this in the past. The prime example is the transfer saga of Marc Cucurella, a player that since signed for Chelsea, but back in the summer when Fabrizio Romano gave us the "here we go," Brighton then came out, put out a statement, denied the agreement, and just like in this case, they told Cucurella to stay away from first team training. A transfer strategy they used in the past and they're using it once again, but as they have shown on that occasion, a deal can still be struck. But this one's slightly different, as Jack Rosser confirms Brighton have held further talks with Arsenal this morning, where the owner Tony Bloom has told him Moises Caicedo is categorically not for sale this month. Brighton are digging their heels in, and the behaviour of Caicedo's new representatives has not gone down well. These guys will not be bullied. At this stage of the window, there is no pressure to sell. The player is under a long-term contract, but Arsenal are trying to change that. And as Freddie Paxson points out, Arsenal's chief negotiator, Richard Garlick, has a really strong relationship with the key decision makers at Brighton, which I'm sure Arsenal hope will make things smoother in negotiations. But Chelsea have also done business. The signings of Ben White and Leandro Trossard have shown that Arsenal can strike a deal with Brighton. But let's not forget our competition, Todd Bowley's free-spending Chelsea, who with the signings of Marc Cucurella and then the appointment of Graham Potter, have shown they can also make things happen. This transfer saga is a crazy one, and things are about to get even more interesting. As Simon Jones of the Mail says, Arsenal are set to make a second offer worth up to £70 million for Moises Caicedo, but Brighton won 80. £60 million was a lot, £70 million is crazy, but 80 is where it gets ridiculous, especially for a player that only made his first ever Premier League start against Arsenal in April of 2022. So we're talking around 9 months of Premier League starts, and some reports have even claimed that Brighton have set a price tag as high as £90 million for Moises Caicedo. Now that would be record breaking, making him the most expensive signing in Arsenal history. It's something that I don't expect for Mikel Arteta or Edu Gaspar to go and do. But that being said, Brighton are looking for replacements, and they have agreed a deal to sign a Swedish midfielder called Yasin Ayari, but they are also negotiating for RB Leipzig's Amadou Haidara. And is Brighton bracing themselves for an exit? Well, in terms of Moises Caicedo, for upwards of £70 million, how does he rank up against the current Arsenal midfielders? Well, in terms of tackles and interceptions, with 78, he's got more than Thomas Partey, and even in terms of progressive passes, only 5 behind Partey and level with Martin Odegaard, and even in terms of through balls, he's only behind Odegaard with 7 ahead of Thomas Partey. And where Caicedo is so good, of course, is his defensive ability. This guy is a ground duel winning machine, winning 3.7 per game. That is more than both Rodri and Declan Rice. But Caicedo is more than just a number 6, and as the stats show, up there with the best in the league in terms of passing under pressure and passing accuracy, the definition of press resistance. Caicedo has a lot to his game, and if Arsenal were to sign him, not only would they be getting a very good number 6, but also the potential of a top number 8. But is he worth 70 to 80 or 90 million pounds? Can Arsenal agree a deal? It's all in the hands of Brighton. Is Tony Bloom gonna accept? The next few hours are gonna be crucial, and we're gonna find out very soon. But making bids of 60 to 70 million pounds, Arsenal have shown they have money to spend. So what about alternatives? Real Sociedad's Martin Zubimendi, according to reliable reports in Spain, his transfer to Barcelona is complicated, firstly for the price tag of 60 million euros, but secondly, the player has an attraction towards the Premier League, specifically towards the Emirates Stadium. Reports have claimed that Zubimendi has interest of playing for Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal have shown they have the funds, and if they can't sign Moises Caicedo, could they then go and pay the release clause of Martin Zubimendi? I have one little concern though. I think the reason why Arsenal are pushing so hard to sign Moises Caicedo is because he is a Premier League proven player, and as we have seen with the arrival of Leandro Trossard, can have an impact straight away, and we are fighting for the Premier League title. That is exactly the type of profile that you need. A comment down below, if Arsenal can't sign Moises Caicedo, what other midfielders do you think Arsenal should look to target? But in terms of midfielders, if we were to sign Caicedo, what does that mean for our top summer target in Declan Rice? Well, according to Sam Dean, Arsenal will still launch a move for Declan Rice in the summer, even if they sign Moises Caicedo. Arsenal are looking to inject their midfield, and with both Thomas Partey and with Partey and Xhaka being two of our more older players, Arsenal are looking to future-proof. And I think there's been a bit of an understanding that Caicedo and Rice are the exact same profile, but I believe both of them can coexist in the same team, and I believe the future of Caicedo would be as a number 8, leaving space for a player like Declan Rice to play as a number 6. Rice is on the menu for the summer, but can Edu Gaspar serve us some Caicedo now? But now let's analyse Man City versus Arsenal, our first defeat in a very long time up against our title rivals away from home. I was lucky enough to be at the game. The Arsenal fans were sensational, so supportive. This game was very even, and as the XG shows 3 apiece, with both City and Arsenal with an XG of just 0.3. City slightly edging possession and passes completed, but Arsenal had more field tilt and more final third entries. The field tilt was very impressive, because to go to the Etihad and to have more of the ball in the final third than City themselves, it's something that you rarely ever see. And as annoying as the defeat was, there were still quite a few things that we learned. One of them being the fact that Arsenal dealt with Erling Haaland, limiting any big chances. And in the second half up against William Saliba, Haaland was barely to be seen. And even in terms of Kevin De Bruyne, Arsenal did a very good job to phase him out of the game. But you also had Leandro Trossard, who I believe was excellent in the first half, and he showcased his fantastic dribbling. It's in those tight spaces where he excels the most. His close control is sensational. But in the second half we saw where he differs to Martinelli, who's a far more explosive player and therefore more dangerous on the counter-attack. Trossard isn't as fast as Martinelli, and therefore when he's given space to attack, he's not got as much speed to threaten. Without the likes of Ramsdale, Saliba, Zinchenko, Odegaard, Martinelli starting the game, we were still able to take it to Man City. And for me showed us signs that at the Emirates Stadium, this Arsenal team can take it to Man City. These guys give us respect. Tripling up on Bukayo Saka, Pep Guardiola can see a threat, and this post-match post from Alexander Zinchenko sums it up. There are no old friends, and there is no past home. Thank you Etihad for the warm welcome, but see you soon at the Emirates. I hope you will have fun. In this game, I saw enough in terms of signs, in terms of tactics and individual battles, that at the Emirates Stadium where Arsenal have been imperious, weirdly I've got more confidence on February the 15th as Man City come to the Emirates. But comment down below what were your honest thoughts on the game. But moving on to the other Arsenal news, and starting off with our star boy playing in the Championship, Charlie Patino is at it once again, and this time in the FA Cup, as he scored for Blackpool against Southampton, and this goal showcases his ability to make a late run into the box and slide the ball into the bottom left hand corner. That is Patino's 3rd goal of the season. That is as many as he scored for Arsenal combined at under 18 and under 21 level. We are seeing the goal scoring instinct of Charlie Patino, and that is a very positive sign going into the future. But at the same time, is Blackpool holding him back? But they're fighting relegation, and with an old school manager like Mick McCarthy, there are some reports that Arsenal might recall Patino and send him out to a more competitive and possession based team. And you know what, I can totally understand that. But moving on to Gabriel Martinelli, who Pep Guardiola says is an incredible weapon and a player that is the present and future of our club. As David Ornstein confirms that Gabriel Martinelli has agreed a new 4.5-year contract at Arsenal. The previous terms ran to 2024 and Arsenal had a 2-year option. The fresh deal was in process of being finalised that will extend Martinelli's contract at the Emirates Stadium until the summer of 2027. And there is no surprise, he has always said that he wants to stay at Arsenal, previously saying give him a pen and he will sign a contract. And now that contract is set to be signed, it is 1 out of 3. And next up for Arsenal is securing the long-term futures of William Saliba and Bukayo Saka. It's time to lock down our future. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to your boy's channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was today's episode of the Transfers FC, and in the final moments of this window, what can Arsenal conjure up? Is it Moises Caicedo? We're gonna find out very soon, so stay tuned, take care, and in a bit.